So I'm using my powers of deduction to foretell the future of Leatherman multi-tool production, and we'll see if I'm right. Now, one of the unique things that I find is that it seems like Leatherman is going all in on the free series, with what looks to be the Leatherman Arc becoming a premium Leatherman free series style of multi-tool. Now, this is the Leatherman free P2, and it is a very fun multi-tool to open, and it's got a great one-hand opening system. I really like the tool set that it comes with the exception of some of these inside tools do look a little bit cheap, like they're off of a Wingman. But otherwise, I'm a huge fan of the free series, and every time I get it out, I actually really enjoy using the tool. So I think perhaps the Leatherman P2 is in the engineer's mind of the Leatherman team, perhaps almost like a Leatherman curl. So notice that the Leatherman Wave series has sort of spanned a whole bunch of tools. You've got the curl, which definitely has a different system without the locks, but it still has the outside tools, has some very similar inside tools as well. You've got the Leatherman Wave, you've got the Leatherman Charge, you've got the Leatherman Surge, all very, very close. So now look at this. You've got the Leatherman Free P2, and this comes in at 7.6 ounces, so it's a lighter version. And then you have the Leatherman P4, which comes in at 8.6 ounces. So again, this is very close to the Leatherman Wave weight. And here again, you've got these great set of pliers. You've got all these outside opening tools, very easy to access. All these outside tools. You've got the knife, you've got the scissors, you've got the saw, and you've got the serrated blade. So this, to some extent, I think in Leatherman's mind, perhaps may have taken the place of the Leatherman Wave. And so again, it's around that same size, it's a little bit longer. It's just 0.1 ounces heavier, but again, it's very close to the Leatherman Wave. And people have mentioned, I've seen some videos where Leatherman engineers actually were talking about how this is better, how it's more of an advancement, it's a step forward. And we'll get into that in a little bit, why Leatherman is pushing this. Now, the Leatherman Arc, I think, is perhaps Leatherman's slot placeholder for the Leatherman Charge. So I'm not saying they're getting rid of any of these Leatherman style tools, but I think they're keeping their options open, and with all these clones coming out, Leatherman now is bringing out a whole new line that can replace all these Wave series tools. So we've got the P2, we've got the P4, and now with the Leatherman Arc, which looks like it's coming out perhaps this fall, it looks like that will be a great replacement. Not replacement, but a great placeholder for the Leatherman Charge. Now, Leatherman Charge has always been a little bit premium. It's done things a little bit different. It has a little bit better knives and a little bit better gear. And with the Leatherman Arc, you get that MagnaCut blade, you get the bit holders, the micro bit holder, and so forth. And it's just a little bit upscale version. So now we've got the Leatherman Charge covered. But what I find really interesting is that Leatherman doesn't have a heavy duty option. Now, they may classify the P4 as heavy duty, but this is a 4.4 inch frame, but it seems like that's more the average for the free series. They don't have an oversized frame tool. And what if they're making the P2, the P4, the Arc, and what if the heavy duty series would be the Amp? I think that'd be really cool if they would come out with a, let's say, 4 3/4 inch frame, something even bigger than the Leatherman Surge, and perhaps with some more options. Now, what would you like to see if Leatherman would make something, let's say, called the Amp, that sort of go along with the Arc, and let's say they would bring out the Amp, again, maybe around the 4 3/4 inch frame. So one of the things I would like to see is some of the things from the Leatherman garage. Now, as far as the knife, I think what would be really neat if Leatherman came out with a replaceable knife option. Now, they did that in their small knife release. Was that 3 or 4, the garage release, where it had the replaceable blade? But wouldn't that be neat if they came out with something in a large free series tool where you could upgrade the knife? Maybe you could buy the entry-level arc, or amp rather, if they offer it, and then you could upgrade the knife. I think that would be a cool option. I would like to see some of the inner tools that were on some of the garage series, similar to the some of the other specialty charge series where they had the tweezers and toothpick or whatever that came out, the ink pen and so forth. I would like to see that if the Leatherman amp was ever released. Now, I don't know how they would add extra tools into the free series frame. That's an interesting conundrum. It seems like with the Wave it's a lot easier, but of course this has been out longer. But it would be unique if they could come up with something. Perhaps a pocket clip could hold a little. Some of you have known my modding pocket clips. I think that might be an option, but I'm sure there's a way to do that, add some extra tools. And I think it'd be unique to see some pivots where you could take apart the pliers. So I think those are all unique ideas they could transform or take from the garage series to insert that into a new Leatherman amp. Now I've got some crazy ideas. If it's going to be a work multi-tool, I have never seen this done successfully, but what if Leatherman would integrate a light into the multi-tool? I know most of you hate that idea, but it's interesting. Or, again, this is not very popular, but coming from the trades where I do use the wire stripper at times, what if Leatherman would integrate a T-shank adapter into, let's say, this new Leatherman amp, if it ever is made, and they would make it so you could get a bit, or not a bit, but a T-shank blade that was a wire stripper, and it would connect with notches in the handle, and you could have your own wire stripper right here on your multi-tool. I think that's a great idea. I'm sure probably no one else will, but I think that'd be fantastic. Yeah, it might cut your fingers. You might have to come up with a holder over it, but I still sort of like that idea. Let me know what you think would be a great idea for a new Leatherman amp. If this is indeed the way Leatherman is going, if they're replacing, and I think one of the reasons for that is all these clones. Keep in mind the DL30 is a fantastic budget multi-tool. It's not going to replace your Leatherman Surge, but it's coming really close, really close. And I believe Leatherman, with all these Wave clones, just a whole plethora. I mean, there's even Suapro, which to some extent is like a Leatherman Curl clone. So all these clones, I think Leatherman is abandoning to some extent this architecture. I'm not sure if they'll make any new multi-tools based on this, and I think they're trying to go toward the free series and get away from where people are just copying all their designs. So we'll see. That's just my thoughts. Am I right? The future will only tell us.